"Nee, where the fuck is she?" I hear the beta scream. I already knew Beta Kyle was talking about me, the only servant of the house. I groan and get to my feet, grabbing the cleaning basket and taking it with me. The moment Beta Kyle sees me, he strides towards me and his hand slices against my cheek. I don't make a sound. Years of experience have taught me to keep my mouth shut at all times and only speak when spoken to, even if what they are doing to me hurts. "Alpha, Trey and I are expecting company and you still have not cleaned the office like you were asked." Beta Kyle spits at me, nod my head, and my hand tightens on the cleaning basket. It would make my day if I could just find the courage to swing it at his head. I resisted. He was stronger than me, and I didn't need locking up for another week with no food. My stomach already hurt enough. "We are trying to make a good impression on Alpha Dane. Do you not understand how important it is for us to join ourselves with his pack?" I don't answer. I know it's a trick, to try and get me to say something so that he can give himself a reason to punish me. I kept my eyes low so I didn't have to look at his face. Alpha Dane. I had only ever heard rumors about him. Words were exchanged between the other pack members when I was in the room. From what I gathered, he was a ruthless man, a wolf feared by others. He didn't mess around and he had the largest pack. "He is the Alpha of Black Shadow, the biggest pack in the world. We need him." Beta Kyle continues. "Yet he doesn't tell me why we had never been attacked and we had never attacked anyone, so why did we need another pack to help us?" He places his hands on my shoulders, digging his nails into my thinning skin, and turns me around, kicking me in the ass as he shoves me towards the office. "Useless fucking wolf," he mutters as he moves away. Quietly closing the door, I lean against it, observing the already clean office. There was nothing out of place. It looked perfectly fine for a meeting with this so-called powerful alpha. Closing my eyes, I slide down to the floor. I hated this house. I thought that when I turned 18 I could finally escape, but 4 years later, here I still am, a slave in my own home, doing all the dirty tasks for my brother, Alpha Trey, and the pack, while my ex-mate, Beta Kyle, waltzes around reminding me of how worthless I am. Someone clears their throat and I freeze. I thought I was alone. Leaning forward, I see a handsome man sitting in a chair, just around the corner, a foot propped up on his knee as he nurses a glass of alcohol. His short hair is dark and his eyes are a deep crimson color that don't quite look right. They suddenly shift to me and I throw myself back against the door as my heart pounded. "Is this the way you greet all alphas?" His deep voice rumbles through the room. There is an edge of amusement to his tone. "I'm sorry," I whisper, getting to my feet. I thought I was alone. I had no idea who he was, but I could feel the power radiating off of him, even without my wolf. "He doesn't introduce himself either. Why should he?" "Come forward," he orders, and I already feel a lump forming in my throat. Alpha Trey was going to kill me. I step around the corner, doing as I'm told, allowing him to see me properly. I close my eyes, expecting the worst. "You smell funny. Yet you are a wolf, correct?" I nodded, though I couldn't tell how he was going to react. "Most laughed when they found out about me. I would prefer it if you spoke to me," he growls. "I'm not in the mood to play games." "Yes," I whisper. I couldn't help but think of all the punishments I was going to have to endure. A whipping maybe, starvation for another week. "Why do you smell strange? And how is it possible for you to not know I was in the room? You should have scented me." I hated the question. "Spit it out. I haven't got all day." He takes a swig from his drink. I knew why I couldn't scent him. I knew why I hadn't been aware of his presence, but telling people why was not something I ever wanted or liked to do. They never let me tell my side of the story. All they do is laugh and mock me. "You should open your eyes when you are talking to someone. It's rude to not look at them. Has your alpha not taught you anything?" His deep voice sends a shiver through me. Slowly, I opened my eyes and lowered them. There was no way I was making eye contact. "My wolf abilities were bound," I mutter. Twice I wanted to add. Twice my abilities were bound. But he probably wasn't interested in that part. He leans forward, carefully placing his glass on the small table next to the chair. I could feel him staring at me. Why would someone do that? If this is the alpha that my brother is supposed to be meeting with, I knew I could screw everything up for him by saying too much. "It was a punishment," I whisper. It wasn't far from the entire truth, but it was the simplest answer I could give. There's a twitch in his cheek. Was he angry to hear of such a punishment? Or maybe just like the others, he was amused by it. I couldn't tell. The door swings open and my brother screeches at me. "Nee, what the fuck are you doing in my office?" He turns to the crimson-eyed man. "I am so sorry that my sister is bothering you, Alpha Dane." Crap, it was him. My brother spins around, his hand stretching out to hit me. I close my eyes, bracing myself, ready to feel the burn. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Alpha Dane's voice rumbles through the room. Peeking through slits, I see Alpha Dane has risen to his feet, his hand coiled around my brother's wrist. He was taller than my brother, and more muscly too. "Nee," my name rolls off of his tongue, "was kindly showing me to your office, Alpha Trey, as you failed to meet me at the front of your house as I requested. I was lucky someone was present. At least someone understands the importance of this deal." What? I had no idea what he was talking about. And he had no reason to lie for me. My brother glares at me, clenching his jaw tight. I was going to pay for this later. I would have to try and steal some food. "Go and get Beta Kyle." Alpha Trey sees. "Tell him that our guest is here." I nod and hurry from the room. The last thing I wanted was to be caught between bickering men. "Beta Kyle," I whisper as I enter the dining hall. He instantly glares at me with his dark eyes. I had spoken without being spoken to. "Alpha Trey is in the office with Alpha Dane. I was sent to inform you." He slams the newspaper down on the table and glares at me as he walks by. "You're lucky that the Alpha sent you to get me. Otherwise you wouldn't be seeing sunlight for a few days." Pausing behind me, he yanks my head back, locking his fingers in my hair. Leaning in close, I feel his hot breath on my skin. He doesn't speak. It was just his way of proving that he could do what he wants when he wants. I try to keep myself busy, so I can stay as far away from the office as possible. My peace doesn't last long when I hear my brother calling out to me. Quietly, I pad towards the office and plaster a smile on my face as I open the door. "Nee, go get the champagne and some glasses, we are celebrating." I bow my head and hurry to the drinks cabinet, quickly finding what my brother has asked for. As I re-enter the office, I can feel Alpha Dane watching my every move. Even the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. No one ever watches me this closely. Approaching the small table next to Alpha Dane's chair, I start filling the glasses. He takes the champagne bottle from me, telling me he is more than capable of pouring his glass. I feel my cheeks flame. Not from embarrassment, but because I knew that I would be punished for this. I should have been quicker. I should have filled the glasses before entering the office. I should have. My brain freezes when I see my brother glaring at me. "Nee is your sister, correct?" Alpha Dane questions my brother. "She is." Alpha Trey mutters with disgust. He looks away from me to focus on the man asking questions. "Why do you treat her like shit?" Straight to the point, my brother wouldn't like that. He only likes sharing information on his terms. No one had spoken to my brother about his treatment of me because everyone took great joy in beating me. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't move, but I knew I had to get out of there. If this deal goes to pot because of me, then that would be my fault. Nee was responsible for our parents' death. Alpha Trey spits. I closed my eyes, battling back the tears that were threatening to break free. "Responsible how?" Alpha Dane's voice rumbles through me. He was definitely angry. "She served them wolfsbane." "Nee, don't make a sound. Don't make a sound." I knew Alpha Dane was studying me. They all did. No one could ever quite believe how someone could do something so disgusting as poisoning their own parents. I stood there, with my head hanging low, wishing for the ground to open up and suck me in. There are movements around me. He was standing directly in front of me. With a rough finger, he tilts my face up towards his, forcing me to look at him. Slowly, his hand latches onto my throat, but he doesn't squeeze. "You poisoned your parents?" "I was 6. I splutter. "I just made them lemonade." My voice comes out all squeaky as I try to defend myself. I could barely remember my parents, but I could remember all the guilt I had been made to feel since that day. His crimson eyes flashed to my brother's. Hardly seems fair to blame a 6-year-old. A 6-year-old should know the difference between plants. Alpha Trey snaps. "Sounds to me like she was set up." Alpha Dane shrugs his shoulders, letting go of my throat. "We all know that standard wolfsbane doesn't affect us anymore. We evolved from that shit centuries ago." What? What did he mean? Wolfsbane wasn't lethal. It had been drummed into me since I could walk. which only leaves blood of wolfsbane. Alpha Dane mutters, "You weren't there, Alpha Dane." My brother muttered through gritted teeth as his eyes narrowed to slits. "It was wolfsbane." He nods his head. "You are right. I was not present." Great. Now there was someone else who could remind me of something I had done by accident years ago. But tell me this, where would a 6-year-old get blood of wolfsbane? I didn't ask you here to talk about my slave, Alpha Trey spits. Or what happened to my parents. Alpha Dane grabs his leather jacket from the chair. Unlike other alphas, he seemed to dress more casually. A simple black tee and jeans covered his huge frame. And unlike other alphas, his arms are bare of tattoos. Not a single bit of ink poked out anywhere. You're right, and now I have a few things to mull over. I thought we agreed. My brother exclaims, nothing has been signed. Now I will show myself out. The moment he is out of the office, both my brother and Beta Kyle round on me. What the fuck did you say to him? My brother demands, slamming a hand into my stomach. Nothing. Well, he just asked me why I smelled funny. Did you tell him? Beta Kyle demands. He was practically spitting in my face. I hated him. I hated him so much that I had vowed to one day get my revenge and rip his stomach out through his mouth. Well, my brother yells when I don't immediately respond and smacks me across the side of the head. My head involuntarily moves up and down. But I didn't say it was you. I tried to sound strong and confident, but it just came out as a whisper. If they weren't wolves, they probably wouldn't have heard me. My brother's hand locks into my black hair as he yanks my head back, sending a shooting pain through my skull. If you have ruined this, you won't see daylight again. He drags me by my hair from the office and down the hallway towards the basement door. Please. I beg. He was an alpha. I had to answer him. My cheeks burn with my tears as he flings the door open. On the other side of the door is Alpha Dane. He is leaning against the wall with his arms folded, staring out at us. My brother's hand falls from my hair, relieving the pressure on the back of my skull. Alpha Dane, I thought you had left. Alpha Trey murmurs angrily. I said I would show myself out. I thought I had found the door. Instead, I found a basement, riddled with your sister's strange scent. Is this how you treat your family? As I said, my brother holds his ground. She is responsible for the death of my parents, so yes, this is what she deserves. You should keep your nose out of other packs' business. Beta Kyle adds. Alpha Dane laughs. If I agree to this deal, everything about your business becomes my business. So tell me, what would your punishment be for her? No food, locked away for a week, beatings? We don't. Really? He cocks a brow. You expect me to believe that you would have just let her sleep? I have already stopped you from hitting her once. His eyes roamed over me. She is underfed. Bags hover under her tired blue eyes. For a sister of an alpha, she is certainly not treated like one. Regardless of what she allegedly did when she was a pup. She did it. Alpha Trey seethes. And she has nothing to do with our deal. That's for me to decide. His crimson eyes flicker around the hallway. Where is your mate? I would be interested to know how she feels about this. I close my eyes, silently begging my brother not to call his Luna. Luna Cassandra is worse than Beta Kyle and Alpha Trey together. On second thoughts, why bother her? I'm certain she is just as vile as you. He sneers. I peer through slits to see his crimson eyes on me. There was no reason for him to defend me, and yet he was. I was a nobody, no one special. Just who everyone called a traitor. Only instead of being given a death sentence, my brother decided to make me spend my life suffering. I have a proposition for you, Alpha Trey. Alpha Dane is smirking at my brother. We have already agreed on terms. Well, I'm adding one. And if you don't agree, you will not get my help. Instead, you will become my enemy. And we both know you don't want that. I take it that your new terms have something to do with her? Alpha Trey mutters through clenched teeth. You would be correct. Let me take her away to my pack and then you, Trey, will have a deal. Me? Why would he want me? As my brother and his beta discuss me, Alpha Dane is still studying me. His look made me nervous. What could someone like him possibly want with me? Deal. Alpha Trey sticks out his hand for Alpha Dane to shake. He doesn't take it. Instead, his crimson eyes shift from me to my brother. I will have paperwork drawn up and will return tomorrow. He cups my face. Ensure you have everything packed. He drags his thumb across my bottom lip and strides to the opposite end of the hallway and straight to the front door. He knew exactly where the front door was, so what was he up to? He pauses at the door. If I find out any one of you has laid a hand on her, the contract will be the last thing you need to worry about. He struts out, slamming the door behind him. Get out of my sight. My brother snaps at me. Hurrying away, I make my way up the stairs and into my tiny bedroom. It was practically empty. The only things I had were a few changes of clothes. It would take me less than a minute to pack by morning. I hadn't slept. Alpha Dane's questions were on repeat. And why was I so interesting to a wolf like him? There was a reason he had the biggest pack. They were known for their fighting abilities. That's why my brother wanted to link Moonshine with Alpha Dane's pack. But where did I fit into all this? And what the hell is blood of wolfsbane? Dane 10th brides the charm. Jensen mocks as the driver pulls up in front of Moonshine's pack house. Shut up. Eric snaps at him. Both of you shut your fucking mouths before you say something you regret. He will never learn. My wolf Arrow muses. The driver pulls open the door. Just give me a second, I need to speak to my men. The door closes and neither one of them speaks. She isn't like the others. Don't speak to her, don't look at her. And you Jensen, keep your fucking hands to yourself, or you might just lose them this time. I was more rattled than usual. Nee was different to previously selected mates. I didn't know what it was or whether it was because I was used to confident women, but there was something about her. And Arrow appeared to like her too, more than any of the others. I had to have her. I mean it. I snap at Jensen's smug face. Being my brother won't change my mind. He runs his fingers over his lips as though he is zipping them shut. They follow me from the car. Standing in front of the old pack house, all three of us stare up at it. Because until a month ago, I knew nothing about them, and even after my visit, all I had learned was that Alpha Trey is a dick.my knuckles hammer on the door. It's barely open an inch when I force myself through, making his beta stumble back, that I spotted her straight away, hiding herself behind a corner. Are you ready? I call out. If you just want to. Beta Kyle starts. I was not talking to you. I was speaking to Nee. The expression on Beta Kyle's face was a picture. His jaw hangs open and his eyes are wide. It was obvious he had never been told what to do. Even by his alpha, Nee steps out from her hiding spot, clutching a barely full carrier bag. She drags her teeth across her bottom lip and nods her head. Where are the rest of your things? I told you everything needs to be packed. That's all she has. Trey snorts as he makes his appearance. That's it. I stare at him. That's all her belongings? She's what, in her early 20s, and that's all she has. What more does she need? His beta sneers. Kill him, let me rip out his throat and he will regret the day he crossed us. What are you waiting for? I hear a horrible shrill voice that seems to vibrate through the floors. Looking away from the beta, I see a woman holding on to a statue of herself that sat at the bottom of the stairs. Her blonde hair hung in waves around her face as her green eyes studied me, and she sways her hips as she moves to Trey. I noticed Nee's reaction yesterday. When I asked Trey where his mate was, her whole body had tensed up in fear. She was afraid of this woman and I wanted to know why. Take her, Alpha Dane. I'm sure she will be as useful a slave to you as she is to us. Her shrill voice goes straight through me. Look at the stupid girl, she's going to pass out. The blonde bimbo laughs. You don't get to talk about her like that anymore. I glare at the blonde. She is not your toy. She is not your slave, and I suggest that you, Alpha Trey, keep your wife in check. There is only so much disobedience that I will tolerate. Disobedience. The woman screeches just as Nee's ass hits the floor. How dare you? If anyone is disobedient, it's that rat in the corner. Who the fuck is she calling a rat? Arrow growls. You should make yourself familiar with our agreement. I snap. It seems your mate has not told you everything. Waving Eric forward, he pulls a thick wad of paper from the folder under his arm. The contract that I have drawn up. All that for your help? His mate's eyes are wide. I don't do half-witted contracts. Taking the contract from Eric, I shove it against Trey's chest. Shall we go to the office? Trey leads the way with his mate clinging on to him and his beta hurrying behind. My men follow them while I stay behind to check on my new mate. You are more than welcome to join us. After all, you are involved in this deal. Or my car is out front. You can take your stuff and wait there for me. Are those my only options? She whispers, keeping her eyes low for now. Personally, I think you should sit in with us. It will give me great pleasure in pissing off that mate of your brother's. She keeps her blue eyes low as she continues to clutch that bag of hers. This close to her, I could really see how ill she looked. Even her heartbeat is slow, like it's fighting to hang on to life. So what will it be? Her head rotates between the front door and the direction of the office. The office, I guess. Good choice. I hold out a hand for her, but she doesn't take it. Pushing herself up to her feet. She wobbles a little but steadies herself, walking a few steps behind her. I see the evil glare she receives from Trey and the other two idiots as she enters the office. Take a seat. I whisper as I walk past her. My hand grazes her lower back and she immediately tenses up. She stands frozen to the spot. Only her eyes dart about when she shakes her head. Sit. I say it a little louder. She doesn't have that privilege here. The blonde snaps, with her lips curved up in amusement. Sitting is not a privilege. I growl, wondering what else they were forcing her to do. I couldn't see any bruises on her arms or legs, a good sign, I hoped. It better be. Arrow paces in my head. He wanted her out of this place as much as I did. The blonde physically recoils in her seat. Her mouth falls wide open, shocked that I had said something. And I suggest, I look at Trey. You tell your mate to keep her mouth shut. Or I can shut it for her. Alpha Dane, you are in my home. And you want my help, correct? The three of them were fuming. No one liked being told what to do in their own home, yet they were doing just that to me. I point to the empty chair between Jensen and Eric and she finally sits down. Let's just get this done. Trey snaps. The sooner she is gone, the happier I can be. You should read the contract. I muse. I agreed that you could take her as part of our deal. Idiot. Eric murmurs. He knew as well as I did that contracts should be read before they are signed. They sign without reading and practically throw the contract back at me. Done. Trey mutters, good, you can get her out of my house. Trey's mate screeches. If I had it my way, I would just take knee. Then I wouldn't have to put up with the twats, but this way they can't have her back. Even if they begged. A contract was a contract and it was impossible for them to get out of. Getting to my feet, I hold a hand out to Nee. Come, we are leaving this shithole before I lose my temper. Her warm fingers slip into my hand as she rises to her feet. Her other hand clutches the bag to her chest as she walks with me to the front door. She didn't even look back to say goodbye, and that confirmed everything I needed to know. She hated them as much as they hated her. She pauses at the open front door, her hand falling from mine. Her blue eyes are wide as she stares at the limo. Come. I instruct. Eric and Jensen are standing behind her, watching her curiously. Is she okay? Eric links me. Nee. I step in front of her and she doesn't move. She seems to be staring right through me. It's time to go. Okay. Her lips barely move. She takes a step forward, almost as if she is in slow motion. Her hands grip the door frame. Her knuckles turn white as her heartbeat increases. Her lips part a little and her hand falls from the door frame just as her eyes roll to the back of her head. I've got you. I mutter, catching her just before she hits the floor. Her entire body tenses up as I lift her and carry her to the car. She was so weak and was even lighter than I expected. She probably didn't weigh much more than a small child. Jensen and Eric get in the car first. Jensen cocks his eyebrow at me and has a smirk plastered to his face as I slide in with Nee on my lap. Keep your thoughts to yourself, Jensen. I held her close, listening to her breathe and the rhythm heart as it slowed. Letting my fingers comb through her dark hair as she becomes a little more with it. Suddenly, she sits upright, moving away from me and trying to make herself as small as possible. Deciding not to force her to do anything, I keep my attention on my beta and my brother, talking about pack stuff while casting a glance over to her every so often to make sure she is all right. Come. I mutter as the limo comes to a stop. I don't wait for the driver and get out myself, holding a hand out for her. I'm fine. She speaks at last while glancing at the others and shuffles herself forward to the open door. She stares up at my home, gasping a little. It was easily 3 times the size of her previous home, and I hoped that she would be happy here. That I could provide her with a life that was better than her last. Let me give you a tour. I suggest as she continues to clutch that carrier bag to her chest. She follows me in, not speaking a word. I had no idea if she was listening to what I was saying or not. The Omegas swap out on a rotational basis. Good for the youngsters to learn some responsibilities before they get proper jobs. I tell her while showing her the dining hall with a table long enough to fit 20 people around. We move through to the kitchen, where I point out a board on the wall. If there is anything you need, you just add it to the board and it will be ordered in. Her brow furrows and still she says nothing. Picking up a pen, I smile. Maybe she felt intimidated by me. So tell me, what do you need, because there is no way you are living under my roof with just the things that are in that bag. Her dazzling blue eyes dart around the room. Well, I ask. I don't need anything. She whispers, sighing. I start scribbling things down. Underwear, jeans, workout clothes, dresses, shoes, anything I can think of that will cover her for a few days. Holding the pen between my teeth, I grab her around the waist. Dane 10th bride's the charm. Jensen mocks as the driver pulls up in front of Moonshine's pack house. Shut up. Eric snaps at him. Both of you shut your fucking mouths before you say something you regret. He will never learn. My wolf, Arrow muses. The driver pulls open the door. Just give me a second, I need to speak to my men. The door closes and neither one of them speaks. She isn't like the others. Don't speak to her, don't look at her. And you, Jensen, keep your fucking hands to yourself, or you might just lose them this time. I was more rattled than usual. Nee was different to previously selected mates. I didn't know what it was or whether it was because I was used to confident women, but there was something about her. And Arrow appeared to like her too, more than any of the others. I had to have her. I mean it. I snap at Jensen's smug face. Being my brother won't change my mind. He runs his fingers over his lips as though he is zipping them shut. They follow me from the car. Standing in front of the old pack house, all three of us stare up at it. Because until a month ago, I knew nothing about them, and even after my visit, all I had learned was that Alpha Trey is a dick.my knuckles hammer on the door. It's barely open an inch when I force myself through, making his beta stumble back, that I spotted her straight away, hiding herself behind a corner. Are you ready? I call out. If you just want to. Beta Kyle starts. I was not talking to you. I was speaking to Nee. The expression on Beta Kyle's face was a picture. His jaw hangs open and his eyes are wide. It was obvious he had never been told what to do. Even by his alpha, Nee steps out from her hiding spot, clutching a barely full carrier bag. She drags her teeth across her bottom lip and nods her head. Where are the rest of your things? I told you everything needs to be packed. That's all she has. Trey snorts as he makes his appearance. That's it. I stare at him. That's all her belongings? She's what, in her early 20s, and that's all she has? What more does she need? His beta sneers. Kill him, let me rip out his throat, and he will regret the day he crossed us. What are you waiting for? I hear a horrible shrill voice that seems to vibrate through the floors. Looking away from the beta, I see a woman holding on to a statue of herself that sat at the bottom of the stairs. Her blonde hair hung in waves around her face as her green eyes studied me, and she sways her hips as she moves to Trey. I noticed Nee's reaction yesterday. When I asked Trey where his mate was, her whole body had tensed up in fear. She was afraid of this woman, and I wanted to know why. Take her, Alpha Dane. I'm sure she will be as useful a slave to you as she is to us. Her shrill voice goes straight through me. Look at the stupid girl, she's going to pass out. The blonde bimbo laughs. You don't get to talk about her like that anymore. I glare at the blonde. She is not your toy. She is not your slave, and I suggest that you, Alpha Trey, keep your wife in check. There is only so much disobedience that I will tolerate. Disobedience. The woman screeches just as Nee's ass hits the floor. How dare you? If anyone is disobedient, it's that rat in the corner. Who the fuck is she calling a rat? Arrow growls. You should make yourself familiar with our agreement. I snap. It seems your mate has not told you everything. Waving Eric forward, he pulls a thick wad of paper from the folder under his arm. The contract that I have drawn up. All that for your help? His mate's eyes are wide. I don't do half-witted contracts. Taking the contract from Eric, I shove it against Trey's chest. Shall we go to the office? Trey leads the way with his mate clinging onto him and his beta hurrying behind. My men follow them while I stay behind to check on my new mate. You are more than welcome to join us. After all, you are involved in this deal. Or my car is out front. You can take your stuff and wait there for me. Are those my only options? She whispers, keeping her eyes low for now. Personally, I think you should sit in with us. It will give me great pleasure in pissing off that mate of your brother's. She keeps her blue eyes low as she continues to clutch that bag of hers. This close to her, I could really see how ill she looked. Even her heartbeat is slow, like it's fighting to hang on to life. So what will it be? Her head rotates between the front door and the direction of the office. The office, I guess. Good choice. I hold out a hand for her, but she doesn't take it. Pushing herself up to her feet. She wobbles a little but steadies herself, walking a few steps behind her. I see the evil glare she receives from Trey and the other two idiots as she enters the office. Take a seat. I whisper as I walk past her. My hand grazes her lower back and she immediately tenses up. She stands frozen to the spot. Only her eyes dart about when she shakes her head. Sit. I say it a little louder. She doesn't have that privilege here. The blonde snaps with her lips curved up in amusement. Sitting is not a privilege. I growl, wondering what else they were forcing her to do. I couldn't see any bruises on her arms or legs, a good sign I hoped. It better be. Arrow paces in my head. He wanted her out of this place as much as I did. The blonde physically recoils in her seat. Her mouth falls wide open, shocked that I had said something. And I suggest, I look at Trey. You tell your mate to keep her mouth shut. Or I can shut it for her. Alpha Dane, you are in my home. And you want my help, correct? The three of them were fuming. No one liked being told what to do in their own home, yet they were doing just that to me. I point to the empty chair between Jensen and Eric and she finally sits down. Let's just get this done. Trey snaps. The sooner she is gone, the happier I can be. You should read the contract. I muse. I agree that you could take her as part of our deal. Idiot. Eric murmurs. He knew as well as I did that contracts should be read before they are signed. They sign without reading and practically throw the contract back at me. Done. Trey mutters. Good, you can get her out of my house. Trey's mate screeches. If I had it my way, I would just take knee. Then I wouldn't have to put up with the twats, but this way they can't have her back. Even if they begged. A contract was a contract and it was impossible for them to get out of. Getting to my feet, I hold a hand out to Nee. Come, we are leaving this shithole before I lose my temper. Her warm fingers slip into my hand as she rises to her feet. Her other hand clutches the bag to her chest as she walks with me to the front door. She didn't even look back to say goodbye, and that confirmed everything I needed to know. She hated them as much as they hated her. She pauses at the open front door, her hand falling from mine. Her blue eyes are wide as she stares at the limo. Come. I instruct. Eric and Jensen are standing behind her, watching her curiously. Is she okay? Eric links me. Nee. I step in front of her and she doesn't move. She seems to be staring right through me. It's time to go. Okay. Her lips barely move. She takes a step forward, almost as if she is in slow motion. Her hands grip the door frame. Her knuckles turn white as her heartbeat increases. Her lips part a little and her hand falls from the door frame just as her eyes roll to the back of her head. I've got you. I mutter, catching her just before she hits the floor. Her entire body tenses up as I lift her and carry her to the car. She was so weak and was even lighter than I expected. She probably didn't weigh much more than a small child. Jensen and Eric get in the car first. Jensen cocks his eyebrow at me and has a smirk plastered to his face as I slide in with Nee on my lap. Keep your thoughts to yourself, Jensen. I held her close, listening to her breathe and the rhythm heart as it slowed. Letting my fingers comb through her dark hair as she becomes a little more with it. Suddenly, she sits upright, moving away from me and trying to make herself as small as possible. Deciding not to force her to do anything, I keep my attention on my beta and my brother, talking about pack stuff while casting a glance over to her every so often to make sure she is all right. Come. I mutter as the limo comes to a stop. I don't wait for the driver and get out myself, holding a hand out for her. I'm fine. She speaks at last while glancing at the others and shuffles herself forward to the open door. She stares up at my home, gasping a little. It was easily 3 times the size of her previous home, and I hoped that she would be happy here, that I could provide her with a life that was better than her last. Let me give you a tour, I suggest as she continues to clutch that carrier bag to her chest. She follows me in, not speaking a word. I had no idea if she was listening to what I was saying or not. The Omegas swap out on a rotational basis. Good for the youngsters to learn some responsibilities before they get proper jobs. I tell her while showing her the dining hall with a table long enough to fit 20 people around. We move through to the kitchen, where I point out a board on the wall. If there is anything you need, you just add it to the board and it will be ordered in. Her brow furrows and still she says nothing. Picking up a pen, I smile. Maybe she felt intimidated by me. So tell me, what do you need, because there is no way you are living under my roof with just the things that are in that bag. Her dazzling blue eyes dart around the room. Well, I ask. I don't need anything. She whispers, sighing. I start scribbling things down. Underwear, jeans, workout clothes, dresses, shoes, anything I can think of that will cover her for a few days. Holding the pen between my teeth, I grab her around the waist. Nia, I don't know what blood of wolfsbane is. I whisper. He frowns at me. Your brother said you knew the difference between plants. I didn't have an answer. I couldn't remember, not fully. Blood of wolfsbane is wolfsbane fed by our blood. The leaves will have a red hue to them. I can't imagine a child would know what it is because it is not freely grown. Your brother's story doesn't add up. Oh, I won't stop until I find out who did this, Nee. His crimson eyes narrow. I will make them pay for the suffering you have endured. He sits on the edge of his desk studying me. Right now, you need to see someone about the infection. I kept my mouth closed. I was still trying to process his news of me being set up. Why had my brother never considered it? Come, I will show you our bedroom. You can shower before we see the pack doctor. Frozen to the spot, I don't move. Did he just say our bedroom? As in we are sharing a bedroom? I guess he thinks he can have sex with me whenever he wants if I'm his contract bride. A shiver runs down my spine at the thought. Glancing up, I see him watching me. He is standing at the open door waiting for me. Ensuring my dress has me covered, I step out into the hallway. No one was around and the hallways were quiet as we moved. Alpha Dane would tell me what each room was, but he seemed more focused on getting me to the bedroom. His bedroom is huge with massive windows just like the rest of the house. The bed sat pressed up against the wall. All around it, thin drapes hung from the ceiling, but they were tied back at each bedpost. What surprised me the most was that the bath and the shower were in the same room. Only the toilet was in a small room to the side of the shower. No privacy whatsoever. Though he didn't seem to care about that. He makes me jump when I feel his warm breath on my skin. You don't need to be afraid. I may not be able to smell him, but he would be able to sense the changes in my emotions crossing the room. He pulls open the glass door to the shower and turns it on. The moment he closes the door, the steam of the shower quickly fogs up the glass. And still I find myself afraid. He gave me no clue as to what he was expecting from me. Hey! His rough fingers tip my face up. It's just you and me, and for now, I will let you shower in peace. Walking away, he pulls his phone out of his pocket and messes around with it before placing it on the bedside table. The alarm is set for 10 minutes. I will come back then. I will bring you something to wear, so just stay in the towel. Understand? He stares at me waiting for an answer and I just nod. A 10-minute shower. I was lucky if I got a minute shower back home and the water was always cold. He moves to the door, and with his hand resting on the doorknob he looks back over his shoulder at me. I wish you would talk more, Nee. Alpha Dane leaves me in peace and I make a mad dash for the shower as if I'm in some kind of fantasy land and this was all a dream. Maybe it was, maybe I was about to wake up in the basement of my home. The smells of the soaps and shampoos are divine as I lather them into myself. And my hair has never felt so clean. The wound on my stomach stung as the hot water hit it, but I didn't care, it was worth it. Someone in the room clears their throat and I freeze, thanking the steam for keeping me semi-hidden. Nee, are you done? The alarm went off 5 minutes ago. Alpha Dane's voice seems louder in here. That I had been so caught up in the freedom of a simple shower that I hadn't even heard the alarm or the Alpha come back into the room. Coming? I mutter, turning off the water and pulling a towel around me to hide the hideousness underneath. Stepping out, I already see that my ripped dress, underwear and worn sandals had been removed from the floor. Alpha Dane sits on the end of the bed with what looks like folded clothes on his lap and a pair of trainers. It's not much, as we don't have anyone with as small a waist as you. He smiles as he hands over the clothes. A matching navy blue sweatshirt and joggers. You will have to make do without the underwear for now. Should be here first thing tomorrow. He watches me with a cocked eyebrow as I pull the joggers on and tug the sweatshirt over my head before removing the towel. Maybe he was used to the women parading themselves in front of him, or throwing themselves at him because he had power, but I wasn't like that. Let's go. He rises to his feet and this time I follow him. Something told me that if I didn't get this wound looked at, it would put him in a bad mood. The pack doctor was young, unlike the one back home who was old and afraid to let anyone take over from him. She smiles at us as we enter the pack hospital and wraps her dark hair into a bun. Raven, this is Nee. Alpha Dane introduces me with a grin. I keep my eyes low as I hear Raven say, Alpha Dane, what seems to be the problem apart from the strange smell she has brought with her? It didn't sound like a hurtful comment like I was used to, but more a comment of curiosity. She will tell you herself when she finds her tongue. I have a wound, I whisper. And you are not healing? Raven asks, confused. I don't have my wolf. I hated saying it. It was just a constant reminder that I did not fit in. Her wolf was bound when she was a kid. Alpha Dane tells her. That's why her scent is strange. Her wolf is there locked away waiting to be freed. My eyes flicker up only to find him staring straight back at me. I had always believed that my wolf was gone. Not that she was trapped. Raven's dark eyes hover on me. Wow, okay. She grabs my hand. This way, let's take a look at this wound of yours. She leads me into an empty room and asks me to lie on the bed and to show her my wound, pulling up the sweatshirt, just enough for her to see the wound. Her eyes widen, a flicker of rage passing over them as she takes in the infected wound and the bruising that surrounds it. Her fingers carefully press around the wound. How long ago? A few days, I mutter, though I wasn't sure. Every beating blurred into another one. Any day that I wasn't hit was a good day. Raven shakes her head. This is longer than a few days ago. The infection has had at least a week to develop. Nee, you need to tell us the truth. Alpha Dane orders. I don't know. Nee. His deep voice rumbles through me and I close my eyes, fearing his anger. Anger brought punishment, punishment brought pain. I swear I don't know. The beatings, they happen so often that they just kind of. I'm never not bruised. There was silence. I was afraid to open my eyes. Alpha Trey had said it over and over, that if anyone found out, he would make my life a misery, more than it already was. I used to wonder who would ever find out the truth that doesn't already know. Now here I was, sitting in another pack's hospital, revealing my dark secret. Heal her. Alpha Dane shouts after what seems like forever. He storms from the room, pulling a phone out of his pocket. You will have to forgive my brother. His temper is short, especially when it comes to things like this. Raven mutters as she gently inspects my wound. Your brother. I whisper, opening my eyes. I see he informed you. I'm guessing he didn't tell you that Jensen is also our brother. I shake my head. I'm guessing Jensen was one of the men that came to my brother's house. She chuckles. Jensen is considered to be our brother's gamma. Gamma? I had never heard of the term. Yep, and Alpha Dane has a love/hate for me working here. He wants me to represent our family, but he knows this is what I'm good at. She grabs a pot of cream from the cupboard. Now this needs to be applied 3 times a day. It should clear up the infection. If it hasn't changed in a couple of days, I will take another look. My brother is waiting for you out front. Thanks, I mumble, taking the pot of cream from her. I looked at the label but couldn't read it. I had never learned to read. She bobs her head at me as I hurry out to find Alpha Dane on his phone, snapping at someone. He hangs up as soon as he sees me and asks what Raven said. Cream 3 times a day. I show him the pot and he takes it from me. Good come. He strides off and I have to run to keep up with him. I follow him through the house and into the office. Show me. He orders, pulling the lid off the pot. It wasn't going to be negotiable. Not when he had used the same tone moments before he ripped my dress open earlier. Slowly lifting my sweatshirt, he crouches down in front of me and gently smothers the wound in the cold cream. I don't want you to lie to me, Nee. Not ever. If you can't remember, that is what you need to tell me. Is that clear? I don't want to have to guess what you mean. Okay. I couldn't say anything else. I was overly focused on the warmth of his hands. One presses against my lower back, holding me steady while the other gently rubs cream into my wound. Until now, the only touch I had received from another man was a beating. Stop holding your breath, he tells me, getting to his feet. I am not going to hurt you. It seemed impossible to believe given my history. The words coming from him, just didn't feel real. Dane, she didn't trust me. Not a single inch of her, which only made me question her history more. I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know her inside and out. I wanted to know who it was that had turned her life upside down all those years ago, and why they had chosen to pin it on a child. While she was being seen by Raven, I put in a call to my beta Eric. He was keeping an eye on the Moonshine Pack, and I wanted to know if there was anything that he had found out of place. So far, the answer was nothing, which only made me wonder how much they were keeping hidden from the world. How deep did their secrets run? Because until Trey reached out to me, I had never heard of the Moonshine Pack, a pack that lived less than 50 miles from us. I wondered if he knew that I told him to head back. The pack run is tonight, and he needed to be here for that I couldn't help but notice how he hadn't smiled since I had met her. Not once did her strange scent change to show that she was even a little happier. Something that I would need to change, especially if she is to be my mate. Running my hand across her stomach, she holds her breath and keeps her eyes off of me, finding anything else to look at. Are you afraid of me? I ask directly as she lets her sweatshirt fall. Of course she is, just look at her. Arrow mutters as he paces in my mind, that I see how she bites the inside of her cheek, as she thinks of something to say. Everyone is. She mutters breathlessly. I cock an eyebrow at her. You have the biggest pack. You've gone to war and absorbed other packs. You have killed multiple alphas. People ask for your help. You don't ask for theirs. It would be stupid if I didn't fear you. I smile and feel Arrow's joy along with my own. We had worked hard to become the alpha that we are. Nee was smarter than what her brother made her out to be. That's not what I meant. I know my position in the world. I'm talking about you. Are you, Nee, afraid of me? Quickly, her eyes fall to the ground. I wish she wouldn't do that. I could stare into them all day. I am not them, I announce when her silence continues. I would never stoop as low as them. I would never beat a woman for my benefit. Were there others like you? Normally where there was one, there were multiples, hidden away from sight. She shakes her head. Only me. It made it 100 times worse knowing that they only hurt her. That everyone else was considered to be above her when she carried alpha blood. You are one person who never needs to fear me. I want you to know that. She pulls the sleeves of the sweatshirt down over her hands, hiding more of herself from me. By nightfall, she still hadn't spoken first. Every conversation came from me, and always ended with her just nodding or shaking her head. She was almost impossible to read, but I loved a challenge. You need to sleep, I mutter, guiding her towards the stairs. She had no wolf, and would not be able to join us for a pack run. Her blue eyes move to the large clock hanging on the wall. Still, she keeps her mouth closed, keeping her thoughts to herself. She follows me through the house back to my bedroom, allowing me to put the cream on her stomach again. Just like before, she holds her breath, only this time, she doesn't seem as afraid as she was earlier, and watches me instead of closing her eyes. Good night, I mutter. As I lean in to kiss her on the cheek, she tenses and her heart races. I was expecting her to run, but she remained rooted to the spot, her eyes squeezed tightly shut. She lets out a little gasp as I walk back to the door. You're leaving? She whispers, surprised. It's a full moon tonight. I lead the pack run. I will be back in a few hours, but you will most likely be asleep. Pack run? She mumbles, her brow knitting together. You know, when the pack goes on a big hunt all together. Her eyes grow wider the more I talk. Moonshine don't do a pack run? As far as I was aware, everyone did it. She shakes her head. I give her a reassuring smile. You will get used to them. Get some sleep. Because when you have your wolf back, you will be joining us. As I begin to close the door, she remains in the same spot, staring at me confused. I leave anyway. Downstairs, I find Eric and Jensen waiting for me. How's it going with the new girl? Jensen asks, unbuttoning his shirt. Nee is staying and Moonshine doesn't do pack runs. I mutter, mulling over Nee's words. Are you serious? Eric questions. I thought that was standard everywhere. All wolves are empowered on the night of a full moon, and it's the best time to hunt. I frown at Eric. You sure you didn't see anything unusual? From my position, they acted just like everyone else. Some went to work, some stayed and trained, others harvested their crops. He cocks a brow at me. Why, what do you think they are hiding? For starters, who killed Nee's parents? Trey. Eric suggests. I don't think Trey is smart enough to do that. The idiot didn't even bother to read the contract. Jensen mutters. I think we should pay them a visit tomorrow. Jensen suggests surprise them. I mutter sometimes. It's better when they don't know we are coming. True. Trey was pissed about my arrival. When the hunt is over, I confirm with Eric and Jensen what time we will be heading out before making my way upstairs for a shower. Slipping quietly through the bedroom door, I was glad to see Nee fast asleep in the bed. I half expected not to see her. I thought she might have used the opportunity to escape. Instead, she's curled up in a small ball, hugging a pillow, still in the sweats I had given her earlier. She doesn't wake while I shower. She doesn't even stir when I flick the light on. Almost like she was used to sleeping in a confined space, at any time of the day. Drying off, I climb into bed with her, pulling her tiny weak frame against me. She makes a few funny noises as she starts to wake, but quickly falls back to sleep. Waking before her, I couldn't help but watch her sleep. At some point during the night, she had rolled herself over facing me. In the early morning light, you could see a faint splattering of freckles across her nose. She gasps, suddenly sitting upright and rubbing her eyes. Where am I? Nee, you are in my pack, remember? Her blue eyes lock on mine before they drift downwards, to my bare chest, and then to the sheet that was barely covering me. Are you naked? There was a rosiness to her cheeks that didn't make her look so fragile. I prefer it that way, especially in my own bed. I smirk at her. She pats herself down, checking that she is still wearing clothes, and lets out a sigh of relief as she realizes she is still fully dressed. We could strip her. Arrow mutters. We could show her what we really want. We need to take it slower. I mutter back. She isn't like any of the others. Arrow sulks at my comment, slinking off to the back of my mind. Thankfully, as I had gotten older, I had become better at keeping him under control. Nee crosses the room, shutting herself in the small room with the toilet. I could hear her muttering to herself about keeping it together. When you are done, I call out. We need to put your cream on. 10 minutes pass before she makes an appearance. She eyeballs me as I pull on a black tea. Eric, Jensen and I have an errand to run. You will be staying here. I grab the pot of cream and gesture for her to lift her top. Alone? She asks, her voice quivering as she rolls her top up. Alone, I confirm. Well, there will be others here, so not completely alone. My hand hovers on her stomach a little longer. She's right here. Arrow growls, dropping my hand. Arrow sulks. He wanted to prove a point. To claim her as ours. To finally put a silence to the rumors surrounding us. Nee, you know my brother really likes you. Raven smiles at me as she shoves a crumpet into her mouth. My eyes flash up to hers across the breakfast table. She had been put on babysitting duty, while Alpha Dane completed those errands he had mentioned. Clearly, my comment about being alone had made him reconsider. That he hadn't told me where he was going, and I didn't ask. I didn't think it was my place. You are prettier than the last girl, Raven mutters, distracting me from my thoughts. Last girl? I almost choke on my juice. You are his contracted mate, right? I nod my head. Did you really think you were the first? It wasn't something that had crossed my mind. I was more concerned about what Alpha Dane was going to do to me. He hadn't made a move except for holding me against him while we slept. He hadn't tried sneaking a hand between my thighs. He hadn't insisted I sleep naked, nothing. And that only made it worse. Waiting for the unknown. He didn't seem like a man that would wait. Hopefully you will stick. She adds, reaching for another crumpet. I will stick? I wasn't used to these phrases, or the way she spoke to me so casually. Orders and abuse, that was what I was used to. I probably shouldn't be the one telling you this, but you should be prepared. She takes a deep breath. My brother has been looking for his mate for a long time. He's 28. Doesn't have an heir yet. The others, they stay no more than a few weeks, some run. Some are killed. She tells me with a shrug of her shoulders like it was normal. Because they won't give him an heir? She shakes her head. Because he loses interest. Why are you telling me? I whisper. I would prefer not to know if I was going to be killed. There's something about you. He looks at you differently. I saw it at the hospital. Her words don't exactly make me feel better. Everyone looked at me differently. They always had because of my strange scent. Your biggest concern will be if he finds his true mate. She mutters. Beta Kyle had been my true mate, and he had rejected me the second I turned 18, barging into the basement in the middle of the night and screaming his rejection at me. He had beaten me black and blue until I accepted his rejection. You have a mate, don't you? I can tell by the way your eyes just flickered. I whisper. He rejected me. I remember the pain from that very moment and not just from the beating. Like my heart was being torn from my chest. And because I had felt the bond, my brother had me bound for a second time. That is when I stopped being able to heal like everyone else. I know what that's like. Mine rejected me. She sighs. The moment he found out what pack I'm from and who my brother is, he wanted nothing to do with me. Anyway, like I said, my brother seems to like you more than he has liked any of the other women. Is that supposed to make me happy? Knowing that I might just last a little while longer than the others. Because he likes me, he might keep me like a prized possession. Raven takes me along to the hospital. She had to work and apparently, Alpha Dane had told her to not let me out of her sight, unless it was to use the bathroom. Maybe he thought I was going to be like some of his other brides and run. As if I had the energy to do that. No one comes into the hospital. Raven spends most of the time doing inventory. It almost seemed pointless having a pack hospital. No one needed it, everyone could heal. Hey. She smiles as she comes towards me. I'm going to be here for a while yet, so I brought you some trashy mags to read. Raven dumps them on the table in front of me with a smile, as I just stare at them. I had no idea who the people were in the photos, nor did I have a clue what was written about them. Not your thing? She asks curiously. I shook my head. I didn't want to admit another secret. She stares at me from the other side of the counter, her eyes slowly narrowing to slits. You can't read, can you? How did she know? I shake my head, feeling my cheeks flame. I'm guessing you didn't go to school? No, it was so embarrassing having to admit it. What 22-year-old couldn't read or write? Does my brother know? No. Well, at least now, I have something to do other than counting. She smiles at me and sits in a chair next to me. Hours passed, and I still wasn't getting the hang of it. But she was patient and kept trying. Suddenly, she grabs the pieces of paper and shuffles them all into a pile, and shoves it into one of the drawers. My brother is back. How do you know? A pack thing. Seconds later, the doors swing open. Alpha Dane moves towards us. He looked angry. His crimson eyes were darker than usual. His brow creased and all of his attention was on me. I need a word with my mate. He snaps at Raven. Sure, she mutters and quickly escapes. Leaving me alone with him. He waits for her to be out of sight and turns to face me. My eyes drop to the ground as his voice rumbles through the hospital. Where has Trey gone? Huh? Do I need to repeat myself? My mouth opens to tell him that I didn't understand, but I don't get a chance to speak. There was no one there, Nee. No one. I feel his glare on me. That didn't make any sense. How could there be no one? Home's empty. The pack house is empty. Where have they gone, Nee? I shake my head, confused. You went to see my brother? I whisper, refusing to meet his gaze. Was this all a lie? He gestures to me. A setup so you could get some dirt on me? He was so angry. What does Trey want? I close my eyes like I always do. It was easier if I didn't see the beating coming. NEH. His fingers grab my chin. I said you would never have to fear me. But that was when I believed I was helping you. Open your fucking eyes and look at me. Tears creep out of my closed eyes. Raven was wrong. This was going to be the end for me. Opening my eyes, his crimson ones are staring at me. Slowly his face starts to soften. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you? No. I mumble. He lets go of my chin. The pack is empty. Abandoned. I whisper, no, nothing is gone. Everything is still present, but there were no wolves anywhere. It was like they just disappeared, and trust me, we searched. You said they don't do pack runs. But they clearly do something. I don't know. I gulp. I have never left the pack until yesterday. I never went further than the gardens. I frown, but sometimes the house would be empty. If I wasn't locked away, I would steal bits of food. How often? He questions. Every couple of months, I think. If it weren't for the times the house was empty, allowing me to steal food, I probably would have died of starvation years ago. No one talks about it. I shake my head. Are you sure, Nee? They might, just not when I'm around. Suddenly, he holds a hand out to me. Come, we are going home. His large hand envelopes my small hand as he pulls me up from my chair and against his chest. His arms lock tightly around me, squeezing the air from my lungs. You better not be lying to me, Nee. I don't tolerate liars. I promise, I whisper, trying to ignore the pain from my wound, and instead of looking away, I couldn't help but stare at him. Even without my wolf right now, I could feel his power, and it was overwhelmingly intoxicating. Dana could see it in her eyes. She was just as confused as I was, if not more. She walks next to me, almost jogging to keep pace with me as we head back to the house. Her eyes remain low, focusing on her feet as we moved. Take a seat, I tell her as I walk her into the office. She doesn't hesitate like she did at Moonshine and takes one of the empty chairs. She sits with her legs clamped together, the sleeves of her top pulled down over her hands, her face turned down in submission. Nee? Her back straightens as I say her name and her heart starts to race. The last time it did that, she almost passed out. I swear I don't know. If I did, I would tell you. The words tumble from her mouth as though she is fighting for her life. She speaks as though those words were what would keep her alive. Something I hadn't felt in years flooded my veins, and that was guilt. She shouldn't feel like that, not around me. You are upsetting her. Arrow growls. I shouldn't have shouted at you. I murmur, sitting on my desk. You didn't deserve that. I pause, frustrated over the other thing she told me. You stole food. I had to. She whispers. The more I find out about that pack and what they did to you, the more I hate them. When the time comes, the entire lot of them will be killed. Finally, something we can agree on. Arrow murmurs. Nia's eyes flash up to me and she bites on her bottom lip. I will eradicate her entire past. Contracts were simple. Every single contract I had drawn up always favored me. The other side were always too far up their own asses to bother to read it or negotiate, and they always lost out. And this time it would be Trey and his pathetic pack that would lose everything. Tell me about Cassandra. I speak softly, aware that my alpha tone puts her on edge. There was a flicker of rage across her face. Goes as quickly as it comes. I had seen it before when the stupid bitch had called my bride a rat. What do you want to know? Everything and no lies. How long has she been with Trey? She shrugs her shoulders. She has been around for as long as I can remember. Trey is 12 years older than me. They went to school together. She's his true mate? Nee nods her head. She was nice once before I killed my parents. She used to bring me presents, toys mostly. It all changed after she became Luna and I became nothing. You didn't kill your parents. When would she accept it was a lie? And you are not nothing. Not anymore. She puffs out her cheeks and her brow furrows. Talk to me. I mutter, ignoring Arrow's rumblings. I will be nothing when you cast me aside for a new bride. I roll my eyes. Raven. She nods her head at me. Raven needs to learn to keep her mouth shut. Grinding my teeth, I stare at her. I had asked her for the truth. It was only fair I did the same. Raven isn't wrong. There have been other brides, but none that I have truly wanted by my side. You killed them. Raven really needed to learn to keep her mouth shut. It was her that had freaked out my other brides by telling them the same shit as she had told me. She was the reason some of them had ran. Some of them. She nods, keeping her eyes low. I didn't kill them because I was bored of them. Some were passing information back to their old packs. Others were money grabbers, or desperate to be hanging on my arm at all times. If I had to go do something, they would whine at me that they weren't getting enough attention. Oh, Raven likes to do this. She likes to test my brides. But do you know what they all had in common? She shakes her head. I never marked them. I could never bring myself to do it. Something held me back. Nee was the only one I had considered marking, and I still couldn't figure out what it was that drew me to her. She's perfect. Arrow sounds smitten. Grabbing the pot of cream, she automatically stands and lifts her top to show me her wound. She lets out a little gasp as my fingers brush against her skin, and I hear her heart skip a beat as she closes her eyes. She had a habit of doing that too. Afraid to witness what was happening, or maybe it was a fear of looking me in the eye. I couldn't tell them why. Fingers pause over her stomach and she holds her breath. Breathe, Nee. I whisper and her heart skips a beat again. She lets her lungs expand and tears creep out the corner of her eyes. I don't want to die. Her eyes flash open, locking onto mine. It was the first time since meeting her that she truly looked at me. Her breathing hitches and her lips part a little. There's a growing need inside of me. The need to make her mine so that she cannot be claimed by anyone else. How the hell could she make me feel this way? Mate. Arrow growls, not possible. Her wolf isn't present. I tell him mate. He repeats a little louder, growing more agitated. You're wrong. Nee's blue eyes are still locked on mine. The tears had stopped and her brow dips a little as she stares at me. I have to, I mutter, turning away. I was completely thrown by how she was looking at me, so I storm out of the office. Go back. Arrow demands. Go back, we need to mark her. I could feel him pushing forward, trying to break free of my control. The more he pushes, the more I fight back, keeping him shut away. I had to get out of the house. Striding across the grounds, I head towards the Pack Hospital. I wanted to know what else Raven had told me. Asleep at the desk, she is startled when I wake her. What the fuck did you say to her? She rolls her eyes at me. She needs to know the truth. It's not fair if she doesn't know what's coming. She rubs her eyes and yawns. Why, has she done a runner? No, she is in my office. Then no harm done. She shrugs her shoulders at me. If you want my opinion, she is nice, different from the others. I am well aware. Why do you think I chose her? Because she is our mate. Arrow mutters gleefully. That I try to ignore his comment. He had to be wrong. Her wolf wasn't present. It would be impossible to know. Raven walks around the desk, leaning on it and smiling at me. I was right. You do really like this one, don't you? She has a name. I snap, turning on my heel and walking away. Why are you fighting it? Arrow asks as I stop in front of the house. How do you know? I mutter when she looked us in the eye. Her wolf is buried deep, but it's strong. I can feel it. Maybe even stronger than us. Pushing open the door, I could still smell her strange scent. I had given her another opportunity to run, but she was still here. Did I in the office? She is sitting in a chair, hugging her legs to her chest. Arrow practically screams at me to claim her as mine. Instead, I ask her why she is still here. You didn't tell me to go anywhere. She keeps her eyes low and I wondered if she knew. And I have nowhere to go. Have you looked through my stuff? I mutter, glancing around at the paperwork on my desk. It didn't look like it had been touched, but that didn't mean it hadn't. She shakes her head at me. Her hair falls around her face. I don't tolerate lies. I remind her. I don't do scheming women. She frowns. I didn't look because... She drags her teeth across her bottom lip and her cheeks flame. I can't read. It was completely not what I was expecting her to say. The others, they would make up some crazy lie. School. She shakes her head. I should have guessed that she never went. Not if she has been a slave since she was 6. Raven tried teaching me a bit. But I didn't understand. Why didn't Raven tell me? Was it because she actually liked me too? Because she had never been interested in any of my other brides. In fact, she had hated every single one of them. I get it. She mutters. You regret choosing me. But please don't kill me. I can work, I can clean, I can do anything you need me to do. Just please don't kill me. Pulling her from the chair, I plant my lips on hers.